All right, Friday morning in the kingdom, and we're ready for the USA long weekend. Yes, long weekend. I wonder what they call that. In Canada, it was the 2-4 weekend because you got a 24 of beer to last the weekend because you partied hard, party on, yes. But that was back in the days when the beer stores weren't open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, yes. So this morning we woke up to +6 Celsius, but feels like +5. Oh, Jack, getting sound bombed here. These guys sure are flying and getting squawky. I think there's still one left in the nest. All right. So this morning we woke up to +42 Fahrenheit, but feels like +41. Also to the staff's little helper there, they might have lost their family cabin out on the lake because of the big fire. Oh, this is annoying. Oh, you guys, where are you? Over here somewhere. Oh, there he is. Just squawking away. I almost think the ex-wife's here. Just yap, yap, yap. All right, let's scroll this way so we can see some smoke. Yes, from the Gong Show Mining Company and their fire. They had 2 chances to put it out, and then the third one flared up and it let it rip. So the fire was unreal. The helicopters flew steady yesterday, which is good. And they even have an old Huey helicopter here. That makes a distinctive sound. Wop, wop, wop. Unreal. This is unreal. Oh, well. Not very often we get photobombed or sound bombed by ravens. Yes, the young ravens. They got to make a name for themselves, so they're learning to fly and have fun. Look at that. No wood stove smoke today, but it's chilly enough for it. All right, we're not sure what's going on with the grader with Thump Thump, but we got other things to do. We're going to work on the snow truck over here because we got some parts. We want to make sure they fit, and then we continue the quest. Oh, this is the worst intro ever. This is worse than when Dick photobombs or sound bombs me. All right, we better get to work. Here comes the boss. Okay, drama book sucks. I can't do anything on it. I can't scroll or anything. It's farting around and just pissed me off. So we're going to have an early start today, so maybe we'll quit early. And we're going to work on the 39 Chevy snow truck. Yes, the snow truck. All right, so here we are. We have to move to 39, so we did a test. Yes, we never tested the gas can or the jerry can in here, but it fits. That's a good thing. Now we can carry extra gas so we can travel twice as far. Yes, because these trucks have a very small fuel gas tank under the seat, because back then there was a gas station on every street corner and you could stop and top up. Now the gas stations are far and few between. All right, let's get to work here to make the boss happy. Okay, the loader fired right up and we moved around and we got the back of the snow truck emptied off. And also too, we put the snow truck parts over here on a pallet. That way I can trip over them. Yes, I can trip over them. All right, so I got the tire chains undone. So I'm going to back up and hopefully they fall off. Yes, hopefully they fall off. And then we can move the snow truck over to the workbench on high ground, which is over here. All right, so I'll set the GoPro up, I'll set the Me phone up on the tripod over here so we can get some, comedy video. Yeah, it's comedy video. Okay, I think the me phone on the tripod worked out pretty good, but once you take the tire chains off, man, does this thing roll. Yes, I rolled way over there because there's no brakes. Yeah, so I was over there. I don't know if it showed up on the screen, but this thing here rolls excellent. I think I'm going to have to put a granny step on it so I can get in and out. But today's object of this thing is we bought some wheel brakes or wheel cylinders, all that stuff for the back. Let's see if they fit and they're the correct ones. If not, we're not going to wait to the last minute in the winter and find out. Also too, we have to figure out this wheel on the front as being the idler. These are the spare tire rims for the tandem trailer. Yes, the tandem trailer. So I don't think that's a good idea using how would you say, the spare tires as the idler wheels. We have to regroup and rethink. Okay, the wind is picking up. I have no idea what time it is. I'm working hard and staying focused because it's Friday the USA long weekend. All right, so we have 3 extra rims over there. I put a board across the pallet and put the tire chains on so I know where they are so I'm not tripping over them. And I put the tires to go back into the trailer. Yes, into the tire trailer so we know where they are. So we have spare tires for the tandem trailer, which has the water tank on. All right, so there we go. We added some color to it and it looks good. All right, these rims here are for the 74 IH truck, which was the start of the 41 Chevy. And then we got rid of all the IH axles under it because it's oddball and hard to get parts. Yes, oddball. These rims here for a 74 IH International 3/4 ton truck, the center is different, okay? With Ford and Chevy, you can change out the 8-bolt pattern, change the tire, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But this here was separate. So that's when I decided to cleanse the kingdom and no more interbreeding or oddball stuff. Go Chevy, one size fits all. So I tossed these into the scrap bin. So we went down and picked them up. The staff had painted them because we were going to put good tires on it for the 41 Chevy. But then we went for a Chevy front axles and everything and rear axles out of an 86 Suburban, Chevy Suburban that came from Wisconsin. All right, so we got this on here. We can, how would you say, have lots of these rims. They'll be only for the snow truck. But as you can see, oh, we're going to have shadows. Yes, the shadow nose. You can see they're not in line because I built the axle with the spare tires off the trailer, which has a different offset. But that's no problem because I only booger welded and tacked it in here because we didn't know what we're doing. 1, we have to find the tracks. 2, we have to find the tires to match the tracks. And then we can determine the axle width and make it hinge for tightening the track. Yes, so that's no problem. Now we know we have 4 rims or 5 rims that we can go. We're supposed to be getting some tires to fit. Nice skinny little tires like this for 16-inch rims. Yes, we're very pleased, very pleased. All right, let's get these tires off and then see how the brakes are, because this is the original rear end that was in the 39 Chevy I bought in 1984. And then in 2003 we upgraded to an open dry shaft, so this rear end was sitting in storage. Okay, and this is the parts truck for the 39 Chevy, which I've been driving since 1984. The best $200 I spent back then. So then I think it was in 2024 we decided enough of these parts laying around, let's make these parts mobile. So that's how the snow truck came about in April of 2024. Oh, memory lane. Okay, 11:30 and I'm having good luck. I got this wheel or drum off, and the thingy is the little turn here. Oh, watch the cord, Yogi. All right, the turn thing there, you turn the nut or the bolt head right there, turns this, turns that. See, this one didn't turn because it's broken in here, which is normal. It's just a little booger weld, so we have to fix that. We learned, but on over here we had to get aggressive. Yes, aggressive. Yes, look at that. The old whip chain whip, whatever. Hits hard on the arm, but it gets it off because there's no place to pry, there's no place to beat, but we got it. That's the main thing. That's old school, using the chain and whips outside the bedroom. All right, but these ones here we're backing off, and it was a struggle, but we got it. That's not bad. And also too, we have blue silicone around the axle, so that dates this rear axle or repairs to this rear axle to the early 1990s. Yes, because I got the truck in '84, and then we used the blue silicone till we figured out that the orange was better. The orange stuff came about just before the year 2000, if I remember correctly. All right, let's continue this quest because we got to get some brakes on this truck so we don't roll around the yard and crash into things as if we're drunk. Oh, wait. Okay, now we know why it was hard to come apart, because the spring broke. Yeah, spring broke, but that's common for them to break, so that was why we were having troubles. But these were rotating and everything like that. We're going to take this apart, clean it up, make it look pretty. One more time. Yes, one more time. Plus lots of never sees on the threads and the cups as they spin, because we've learned over the years. All right, let's continue the quest. Okay, lunchtime in the kingdom. We got the wheel off and we kind of give everything a buff. Yes, we take the backing plate off and everything. So here's the parts here. We had a broken spring right there, so we went to parts trader number 7. We got used springs. We're missing a washer. We got one right there. Ooh, grease. All right, so over here we got everything laid out, and there's going to be shadows. Yes, shadows. Let's go this way. Everybody needs to walk and talk. All right. I keep notes of everything, so I had to look in my file folders, probably from the early 1990s, and that's a national seal right there. Can we see that, Les Nessman? 6358. Easy to read, 30 years later, right? So here's the replacement seal, and it's an SK. It transfers over to 6358. Oh, I'm not good with numbers. All right, so here we go. So how are we supposed to see that number in 30 years time? We won't. All right, so the reason why we have 2 rubber brake hoses, because we're having independent brakes. Yes, independent brakes. So you put the brake on this side locks up. So we made sure we got the 2 rubber hoses, and we got the wheel seals and the, how would you say, the wheel cylinders. Yes, and it comes with the brass little foo-foo things, little copper washer, which is very important. So we're going to strip these down. We don't need certain things. We don't need the park brake cable hanging out the back. Trim it up, remove this, put lots of never sees, and put it back together, and we'll call it good. How would you say we're doing a brake refresh? Yes, a brake refresh. All right, let's go burn some lunch in the microwave, and let's have some fun.
Friday morning in WHO-ville. It's just after 8 a.m. and as you can see, the sun is shining, but the wind is starting to pick up, and off into the distance you can see some smoke. It's actually pretty smoky out here right now, so let's head inside and let the dogs out. Then I can make breakfast at 2 p.m. I'll head up and do the mail, then go over to the kingdom and see what my dad's up to today. 11 a.m. and I just wanted to give you guys a little update on my garden that I'm growing in the house. This is where I'm starting everything. I planted some more of my seeds that were sprouting enough that I could plant them in their starter bins. Once they get big enough, they'll go into my garden bins at the kingdom. I have a few left here that I have to sprout out a bit more. Over here we have some carrots and tomatoes that are sprouting pretty good. Once they get a little bigger, I can separate them. As you can see right here, there's a bunch of carrots all clumped together. Right here we have a bunch of radishes. These are some more carrots. I didn't plant all of them that day because only half of them were sprouted out. Yes, there's some grass and stuff in my soil. I grabbed the soil from in front of the house. Got romaine lettuce here. As you can see, they are sprouting pretty good. I'll have to add some more soil to it though, because they are sprouting pretty high up there and I want to help their roots grow a bit more. These are marigolds. This is the package that I've been growing. I tried to get them to grow last year, but I started them too late in the season. So hopefully this year I'll get some flowers. Then over here we have some more lettuce. They haven't sprouted out yet. 12 p.m. and I'm just getting ready to make lunch. Sorry about the background noise. It is pretty windy here again today. At least the wind is pushing the fire away from WHO-ville and not towards it. Now let's head inside. The dogs have been out most of the morning because it's pretty nice out here, and make lunch. Almost 1 p.m. and I'm just finishing up lunch. This is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 19 degrees Celsius, which is 66 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. As you can see from my weather board, it is still pretty windy out here right now. So let's head inside, wait for 2 p.m. and I can go up and see if there's any mail and head to the kingdom. Almost 2 p.m. and I just got the quad out, and I'll head up and check the mail, then go over to the kingdom and see what my dad's up to today. It is windy out here. Sorry about all the background noise. 2 p.m. and I made it to the kingdom. There was nothing in the mail today, but that is normal. Now I'll head down to the shop and see what my dad's up to. Pretty sure he's just working on the snow truck today. Look how windy it is. 2:30 and I forgot to do a video of me leaving the kingdom, but my dad was just working on the snow truck, so I grabbed my dog treats and came back into WHO-ville. Now I'll wait till 4:35 p.m. and do the weather.
Okay, after lunch in the kingdom, and we're going to do a refresh on this. Yes, the brake shoes are a little thin, especially this one on here, but that's okay. We want to get the brakes up and going. Then when the money tree blossoms, we can, how would you say, get them relined. Yes. All right, so over here, this is the problem. This one was just spinning inside, because you can see it's just a press on and hammer down fit. And also too, the little niplets or the titties have flat spots right here. So we got to do a refresh on it. So we got to weld that. We got to put some titties back on. And also too, we'll be using the Hobart Handler 100 over here for the welds of choice. Okay, this lasted longer than my honeymoon. It didn't take long. So for the center welds, okay, to re-weld it, I chose 2 for vengeance. Yes, 2 for vengeance, and then I turned it down to 1 for victory to do the nipples, the titties. Yes, the little titty tops. Yes, so it worked out pretty good. And also too, using the flux core wire, you have to keep the end hot. So you have to do your little zap and then move quickly to do the next one while it's still hot, so it gives it, how would you say, arcability. So that worked out really well. Let's buff it up and call it good. Okay, we got the never seized splashed everywhere. Just like when I paint, I splash it everywhere. So we got the wheel cylinder together, and never seized, never seized. The cups are never seized underneath, and also too, redefined print, made in China. So we have a problem with the casting. Look at the boogerness right here. So who said my little titties over here that I just, how would you say, increased in size? Yes, are going to work, because look at this. It's going to jam. So now I'm going to have to take my die grinder and make this smooth. Yes, but see, we really can't complain. This truck is like 82, 83 or whatever years old, and we can still get parts because Chevy kept the same wheel cylinders and stuff like that up to the 50s and 60s. So we should be thankful. But then again, we are working smarter. Now, the last time I had this thing apart, if I'd never seized these thingies up here, the slides, booger welded onto here and stuff like that, and never seized those cups and threads, today would be a lot easier. But then again, then I wouldn't have an excuse to have a drink. Okay, there we go. 1 refreshed rear brake dress, left side brake shoes or whatever. So this turned out rather well. If this was a complete rebuild, we'd reline those, we'd take these apart and never seize them and buff them, because there could be, how would you say, drag. All right, let's see if we have enough talent to put the camera in here. All right, I have a wrench back here. Oop, too close, too close. There we are. All right, let's watch the titties to see if they work. Look at that. No binding, no nothing. Doesn't that work slick? Yes, very pleased. And even over here. Whoops. Always got time for titty watching. Yes, look at that. So if I didn't take the time and die grind out the boogerness, it would bind. But now I'm quite confident in 30 years time when I'm, how'd you say it, Shady Pines retirement home, and the guy who buys the truck at my estate sale or whatever, yes, you know, hey, what'd you do here? I says, watch the YouTube video and learn. Yes. So that's what I mean. It takes time, but then again, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know the tricks of the trade. Yes. All right, let's continue the quest. We have one more to do. Okay, we're on the right side of the thing, and we had to use the Hobart Handler once again. The Hobart Handler 100. All right, so we did the booger welds over top of the top down. We did a touch on each one. This one here, there was three of them. These two here had to have 3 zaps on it to make a tall titty, and same as this one here. But I'm quite confident it'll work. Plus, I took the die grinder and chased out some of the boogerness here on the casting or whatever. All right, now let's get the never seas out, turn into the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz, and we'll have this one back together. Okay, just about copy time, and we got another one refreshed. Yes, refreshed. So here got lots of spare parts. Here's the park brake cables, got a broken spring, and these wheel cylinders can actually get a kit. They're not rusted or anything inside, which is good. Excellent, excellent. So over here we mark everything, and we got it. So one thing nice about Chevy back in 39, you tighten it this way, it moves the shoes out to the drums. So I marked it on. So it's pretty good thinking on their part, and keep it simple. Yes. All right, let's go buff up the axle after we have a coffee. Oh, a beverage. It's Friday of the U.S. long weekend, so we got to celebrate. Okay, after coffee in the kingdom, there's no point in taking these seals out and putting in those other seals, because we know this is only a refresh, not a rebuild. So we know that the brake shoes are going to have to be relined, so we'll save those seals, because by the time you figure it out, those 2 seals is probably $100 landed here in the kingdom at the end of the world. So these aren't too bad. How would you say, we'll just buff in here, make it look pretty. And over here, we have the brake backing plates on. Lots of never sees in where it goes around. The bolts are never seized, everything is never seized. And also too, we also hand buff this with emery cloth because take any burrs off or sharpness for when the the hub goes back on, because that's the next in line. Also too, back in the 80s when I was working on this truck, or this rear end, or these trucks, I had my grandpa, my dad's dad. He was telling me how to do things. We had no power tools. We just jacked it up, used wrenches, and did it the old-fashioned way, because he worked on these trucks when they were brand new. So that's where I get my knowledge from. Plus now it's a hell of a lot easier when you got 2 air jacks, impact tools, and never seize. I wish I discovered never seize a long time ago, like about 40 years ago, because this stuff is handy and it saves the day, because when you go to take it apart, it comes apart so easy. All right, let's continue the refresh of the brakes. Okay, 4 o'clock in the kingdom, we got the hubs on, yes, on both sides, but we have to film on this side because over there it's the shadows, the shadow nose, yes. All right, so we got them on, and the thing you got to do, take your buffing wheel, buff the nuts, because somebody's been in here chiseling over the years. So when you use the actual wrench, you know, there it is there, used it on the 38 GMC, works on these, it's all the same axle. And also too, hand file across here to get rid of any burrs, yes, any burrs. All right, so this is the way we do it. Yeah, full meal deal, looking good. And then over here, all right, so everybody would figure we pop the axles in, put the tires on, drink some beer and victory. But no, the whole idea of this exercise was to put a vent in. So there's a little vent down there, which is basically like leaving the window open on the Titanic. It's going to let the water in, yeah? So we've been upgrading to these Spicer, okay, U things. So when you sink it in the lake, or in the swamp, or the muskeg, the U shape there creates an airlock. So the water from the swamp or the lake doesn't go into the rear end. But we have to drill a hole, a 9/16 hole, tap it out to 3/8, and to do that we have the axles out, we put the air pipe through here, and then we start drilling, and the chips go out that way, in theory. All right, let's get this done so we can have some victory drinks. We're on a roll, I think. Okay, this is how I've done the other trucks, the 38 Maple Leaf, the 38 GMC, and the 45 Chevy. Yes, we had the air hose blowing. Yes, you clip it on there, and make sure you tarp strap it on or it kind of blows out. All right, so the air current is right here. As you drill, it's blowing up, so it's self-holding the drill hole, and same as when you're tapping it out. But this is the way it's done, and the little curly coos, everything's coming out this way. This is the way we upgrade the air breather system, or the rear end breather. So this works out rather well. We're having a very productive day, but it is Friday of the USA long weekend. All right, let's get this thing finished, and then we can drink some beer. Okay, just about 6 o'clock, and we did it. The wheels are back on, the breather tube is in. We set a goal today to get it done, and we did. Now we just have to put the tools away, and I did adjust the brakes. Yes, can we hear some drag? Ooh, look at that. And that's the way you do those breather tubes, because you can't screw them all the way in, because they're made for a semi truck, which has a large axle. But we also gasket glue it on, because this is the end of the world, or better known as Wilderness, Alaska. Yes, but in Northern Manitoba, so that little breather tube will take a licking and keep on ticking. All right, let's get these tools put away. We did it. And I think we're going to have to work on it tomorrow or this weekend, but it is the American long weekend, because we can't move it across the yard because there's no brakes, and we'll roll into something over there. So it won't take much to hook up the brake line to this side and a brake line to that side, and 2 separate master cylinders. Yes, we're spending the big bucks and doing it that way. All right, let's get these tools put away so we can have some victory drinks.
4:30, and this is the temperature we're sitting at right now. It's 21 degrees Celsius, which is 69 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have the feels like on the bottom. As you can see from my weather board, it is still pretty windy out here. Hopefully the wind dies down so they can get the fire under control. Now let's head inside and let the dogs out, get supper ready, and end my day. 6 p.m. and the water bombers finally arrived. Look at that. I was over at the Kingdom talking to my dad and updating him about the fire, and look what I seen. They just pulled in. At least there's 2 water bombers here now, so I came down to the highway so I could see if I can catch them going over and dumping the water.
Okay, we're done for the day. We got what we wanted done, yes. And the boss will be impressed because we've only been delaying it for how many months, but we don't have much time. All right, we can hear some planes in the background. I think the staff is filming those. All right, or film them. Let's see what we got here. Oh, the wind went down. We got some nice skies. And we'll scroll a bit more, see what's going on. Oh, there it is. One of the water bombers is scooting across the screen here. All right. Should be two. Here comes the second one. There we go. Right there. Can we see that, Les Nessman? That's a good sign. They're fighting the fire. All right, let's go walk the dogs, drink some victory drinks, and talk to you later.